Darkness surrounded him. Commander Ethan Gray floated weightlessly, his ship's alarms fading into silence. The cold vacuum of space pressed against the cracked glass of his cockpit. Red warning lights flickered weakly, then died one by one. He could feel his heartbeat slowing, the oxygen level dropping to almost nothing. His last thought before blacking out was simple: this is how it ends. But it didn't. A soft hum filled his ears. Warm light replaced the darkness. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was no longer inside his wrecked ship. He was lying on a smooth metallic bed in a large, glowing chamber. The air smelled different, fresh, clean, with a strange sweetness. Above him stood a figure, tall, graceful, and unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly with silver patterns that pulsed like gentle light through her veins. Her eyes, bright and golden, studied him with a mix of curiosity and sorrow. Her voice was calm but powerful when she spoke. "You are safe now, human." Ethan tried to sit up, his muscles stiff. Who are you?" The woman didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned slightly, the light glinting off her metallic white gown. Around her, the chamber seemed alive, walls shifting slowly like flowing metal, soft blue energy moving through them like veins of light. Finally, she spoke. "I am Seraphina, Queen of Valoria." Ethan blinked in disbelief. Valoria? Never heard of it. Her lips curved faintly. "You wouldn't have. It lies far beyond your human maps." He glanced around, noticing strange symbols hovering in the air, as if projected by invisible screens. Everything felt advanced, beyond any human technology. "You saved me," he said, still trying to process it. "Why?" Her eyes softened, but there was something unreadable behind them. "Because I need you alive." The way she said it sent a chill down his spine. "Not I wanted to save you. Not I chose to help." She said she needed him. Before he could ask more, a sharp metallic sound echoed through the chamber. A door opened, and 2 alien guards entered. They were taller, with armor that seemed grown from crystal. One of them bowed slightly to Seraphina. "My queen, the human's ship has been destroyed. No signs of others." "Understood," she said, her tone now commanding. "Leave us." As the guards left, Ethan stared at her. "So I'm the only one?" "Yes," she replied softly. "You are alone here, human." He swallowed hard. "Then what do you want from me?" Seraphina walked closer, her steps silent. She stopped only a few feet away, her golden eyes meeting his. "Your presence here is not an accident. The stars guided you to me." Ethan frowned. "The stars didn't guide anything. My ship malfunctioned." "Perhaps," she said, tilting her head slightly, "but on Valoria, nothing happens by mistake." Her hand reached toward a nearby table, and she picked up a small sphere of light. The orb floated above her palm, showing holographic images, alien cities in ruins, lifeless fields, broken towers. "This was my world," she said quietly. "Once full of life. Now dying." Ethan looked at the images. "What happened?" "Our energy, the essence that keeps us alive, is fading. Our people are born weaker each generation. Our scientists found the truth long ago. Only one thing can restore us." She turned to face him, her eyes glowing faintly. "Human DNA." Ethan froze. "You're saying, you need me for that?" She nodded. "Your kind carries something we lost. Something pure." He stood, backing away a little. "So that's why you saved me? To use me?" For a moment, pain flashed across her face. "No. Not use. Join." Ethan frowned. "Join? What does that even mean?" Her voice lowered to a whisper, almost trembling. "Our worlds must bond. Our blood must merge. Only then can Valoria live again." Ethan stared at her, unable to believe what he was hearing. "You're asking me to, what? Help your scientists? Donate blood?" Her expression changed, gentle but intense. "Not science. Something greater. A bond of heart and soul." He felt the air grow heavier around them. The energy walls pulsed softly, echoing her heartbeat. She took a slow step forward. Will you accept me, human? Ethan's pulse quickened. Accept you? You mean? Yes, she said, her voice almost breaking. I ask for more than help. I ask for union. For you to become mine. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Ethan stared at her, speechless. A queen from another world had just asked him something no human had ever imagined hearing. Finally, he found his voice. You're serious? Her golden eyes shimmered with emotion. I do not joke, Commander Grey. My people's lives depend on it. My heart depends on it. Ethan looked away, his mind racing. This couldn't be real. He was a soldier, not some chosen savior. But as he turned back, he saw the loneliness in her eyes, something deeply human hiding beneath the alien beauty. The moment stretched long and quiet. And then, for the first time, Ethan whispered, Why me? Seraphina smiled faintly, sadness in her voice. Because, human, you remind me of someone I once loved. The chamber lights dimmed, leaving only the soft glow of her golden eyes as the scene faded to black. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. The chamber they gave him was quiet and strange, glowing faintly from walls that seemed alive. Everything in the alien palace looked perfect, too perfect. The air was warm, the light soft, but there was something heavy in the silence. He sat on the edge of the smooth bed, staring at his hands. Marry her. The thought sounded insane. He was just a human pilot, not some cosmic hero. What did this alien queen really want from him? Suddenly, the door slid open without sound. Seraphina entered, wearing a long flowing gown that shimmered like liquid silver. Her golden eyes caught the light, glowing softly. She looked calm, but her steps were slow and thoughtful, as if something was weighing on her mind. You haven't eaten, she said gently. I'm not hungry, Ethan replied. She studied him for a moment, then sat across from him. Humans always fear what they don't understand. He gave a tired sigh. You're right about that. But you're asking for something impossible. You barely know me. Seraphina smiled faintly. I know enough. I know you saved your people during the Titan incident. I know you risked your life for strangers on planets that were not yours. I know you have a heart that values life. Ethan blinked. You've been watching me. Observing, she corrected softly. My people have been studying humans for many years. We saw hope in your kind. You fight. You survive. You protect those who cannot protect themselves. Her eyes softened. You are different from us. He frowned. Different how? You still believe in love. The words hung in the air like fragile glass. Ethan didn't know how to respond. He wanted to say she was wrong, that love was just another human illusion, but her voice carried something so deep and broken that it silenced him. She stood and walked toward the large window. Outside, Ethan saw a strange sky filled with floating lights and two glowing moons. The city below looked half alive, half dying, beautiful towers crumbling in silence. Once, my people were strong, she said quietly. But now, we fade. Every generation, our light weakens. My scientists say our essence, our life energy, is collapsing. Our bodies reject their own creation. She turned to him, her golden eyes bright with sadness. We searched for centuries. The answer came from your world. Human DNA carries a strength we lost long ago. Ethan rubbed his forehead. So you want a genetic bond? Some kind of fusion? Seraphina shook her head slowly. No, Commander. A simple fusion won't save us. We tried that. The energy fails to connect. Only through an emotional bond, a true union, can the life essence transfer completely. He looked at her, confusion growing. You're saying it's not just science. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It is soul. It is connection. That is why I need you. Ethan stood up, pacing. You want to tie your life to mine, because of some prophecy. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she pressed her hand against her chest, where a faint blue light glowed beneath her skin. This light is my core. It burns with the energy of my kind. But it is dying. When it fades, I will fade too. Unless. Her voice trembled slightly. Unless I bond with you. Ethan turned away. You don't even know me. I know enough, she repeated, but this time her tone was softer, almost pleading. He could hear the emotion behind her words, the quiet fear of someone who had carried the weight of a dying world alone for too long. What happens if I say no? He asked finally. Seraphina's expression grew still. Then my people will fall within the next cycle. And she looked down. I will return to the dust from which I was born. Silence filled the room again. The glowing walls dimmed as if reacting to her pain. Ethan clenched his fists. There must be another way. Your scientists, your technology, there has to be something else. She smiled faintly, but it was a sad smile. You think like a soldier. Always searching for a strategy, always fighting. But sometimes, human, the only battle left is the one for the heart. He didn't know what to say. Part of him wanted to run. Another part of him wanted to stay, to understand her, to see what truth lay behind those golden eyes. Before he could answer, the door burst open. One of the guards entered, looking alarmed. My queen. The southern energy fields are collapsing. Thousands are losing their glow. Seraphina's face turned pale. She looked at Ethan. Do you see now? Time is ending. She walked toward him, her presence strong yet fragile. The light from her body flickered slightly, as if echoing her fear. Please, human, she whispered. If not for me, then for them. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to speak, but no words came. He watched as she placed a small device on the table. It projected an image, her planet, Valoria, glowing weakly, parts of it turning dark. Her voice was steady now. I do not ask you to be my servant. I ask you to stand beside me, to share my burden. He met her eyes, feeling the weight of her plea. There was no deception there, only desperation, and something else he couldn't name. Seraphina stepped closer until only inches separated them. The air between them shimmered with faint golden light. Will you accept me, human? She asked again, her voice almost breaking. Not as your queen, but as your equal. Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his chest. He could feel the gravity of her words. Behind those words was an entire world begging for life. He looked away for a moment, taking a deep breath. If I say yes, what happens next? Her eyes glowed brighter, and a single tear of golden light slid down her cheek. Then, human, our fates become one. The scene ended with the two standing face to face, the dying queen and the human she needed most, while the alien palace trembled in silence around them. Ethan woke up to the low hum of alien machines. The palace outside his chamber was quiet, almost too quiet. Through the glowing window, he could see the city of Valoria, towers made of glass-like metal and floating bridges that shimmered under twin moons. It was beautiful, but something about it felt wrong. Half the city was dark. The lights that once glowed in every building were fading, flickering out one by one. It looked like a city losing its heartbeat. Ethan ran his hand through his hair. He couldn't stop thinking about Seraphina's words, our light is dying. He had seen it in her eyes, she wasn't lying. But he still didn't understand why she believed he was the answer. He turned when he heard footsteps. The door slid open, and one of the alien guards entered, the same one who had bowed to Seraphina before. Commander Gray, the guard said in a low voice. The Queen requests your presence in the Hall of Essence. Ethan frowned. What is that? The heart of Valoria, the guard replied. Where all life begins and ends. Without another word, Ethan followed. The Hall of Essence was massive. The air shimmered with golden mist, and in the center stood a giant crystal pulsing weakly, like a dying star. Around it floated streams of light, the life energy of the Valorians. Seraphina stood before it, her silver gown glowing softly, her golden eyes fixed on the crystal. You came, she said quietly. I said I'd listen, Ethan replied. Doesn't mean I understand. She looked at the fading crystal. This is the heart of my people. Every breath we take, every light that burns within us, comes from here. But the connection is fading. Soon, we will all fade with it. Ethan watched as a small pulse of light broke away from the crystal and vanished into the air. Can't you fix it? You have technology beyond anything humans have. Serafina shook her head. Technology cannot repair the soul. The balance was broken long ago, when we reached for something forbidden. Forbidden? Ethan asked. She turned slowly to face him. We tried to make ourselves perfect. We removed weakness. We erased pain. But in doing so, we lost the one thing that gave life meaning, emotion. We became hollow. She paused, her voice softening. Only humans kept that fire. That chaos. That love. That is why your kind is special. Ethan looked down. And that's why you think merging with a human will fix all this? Yes, she said simply. Your soul can restore what ours lost. Before he could respond, a deep voice echoed from behind them. She lies. Ethan turned sharply. From the shadows stepped an older alien, his silver armor cracked and dull. His eyes glowed faintly blue, colder than Serafina's golden ones. High Advisor Thalon, Serafina said, her tone turning sharp. You were not invited. Thalon ignored her. He looked directly at Ethan. Human, do not believe her. She tells you half the truth. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Thalon's voice was rough, like metal scraping stone. Yes, our world is dying. But it was not the stars that cursed us. It was her. Ethan glanced at Serafina. Her. Thalon nodded slowly. She was the first to attempt the bond, centuries ago. With another human. Ethan's heart skipped. Another human. That's not possible. Thalon stepped closer. Oh, it is. The first Earth explorers came long before your time. One of them found our world and promised to help. He and Serafina fell in love. But his greed was greater than his heart. Ethan looked at the Queen. Her face was unreadable, her golden eyes full of pain. Thalon continued. He betrayed her. He took the core of essence, our world's energy heart, and tried to use it for himself. When he failed, it cursed us all. Since then, no bond has worked. Every attempt ended in death. Ethan stared at Serafina. Is that true? She didn't speak for a long time. When she finally did, her voice was barely a whisper. Some of it. Thalon scoffed. Some. You doomed our people trying to save your lover. Now you want to repeat history with this human. Ethan felt the air thicken with tension. Queen Serafina, tell me the truth. She turned away, her shoulders trembling slightly. I tried to save him, she said softly. He was dying. I gave him part of my essence, but he took more than I offered. He stole the core to keep himself alive. When he failed, it broke. The curse began. Ethan's chest tightened. The pieces began to fit together. The dying world. The missing energy. The bond she wanted wasn't just for survival, it was for redemption. Thalon stepped between them. You see, human. She speaks of love, but brings only destruction. Leave before she takes your soul too. Serafina's eyes glowed with anger. Enough. A burst of golden energy erupted from her hand, pushing Thalon backward. The room shook. The great crystal in the center flickered dangerously. Go, she said to Ethan, her voice low but urgent. Leave this place. But Ethan didn't move. If what he said is true, why me? Serafina turned slowly toward him, tears shining in her golden eyes. Because you carry the same spark he once did. Ethan's heart pounded. The same spark? What do you mean? Her voice broke as she whispered, You are from his line, Ethan Gray. His blood flows in you. The room went silent. Ethan's mind froze. He stared at her in disbelief. You're saying, the man who destroyed your world, was my ancestor. Serafina nodded slowly, pain crossing her face. Yes. And only his blood can undo what he began. The great crystal behind them flared once, then dimmed again, as if echoing her words. Ethan's voice was quiet but full of conflict. You saved me because of that. Her voice trembled. I saved you because of hope. The scene ended with Ethan stepping back, torn between fear and pity, as the dying light of Valoria flickered around them, a world hanging between life and death, and a queen bound by the sins of love. The palace halls were silent that night. Ethan couldn't sleep. His mind kept repeating the same words over and over again. You are from his line, Ethan Grey. The idea felt impossible, but something deep inside told him she wasn't lying. The queen's voice, her pain, her eyes, none of it seemed fake. But if his ancestor really was the man who destroyed her world, then he was part of that destruction too. Ethan walked through the golden corridors, guided by the faint blue light that shimmered along the walls. The Valorian palace was beautiful yet sad, like a painting fading with time. Everywhere he looked, he saw symbols of a great civilization slowly dying. He turned a corner and stopped. Ahead of him was a tall door with strange glowing symbols. He recognized it, the queen's private chamber. He hesitated. He shouldn't go in. But something was pulling him, a quiet voice inside whispering, you need to know the truth. The door opened silently at his touch. Inside, the room was dim. Golden curtains moved softly as the air hummed with a low vibration. The scent of some alien flower hung in the air. On a crystal table near the window, Ethan saw something that caught his attention, a small golden pendant. It looked completely human. He picked it up carefully. It was old, scratched, and shaped like a heart. Inside was a faded photograph, a man in an old Earth uniform, smiling. Ethan's heart almost stopped. He knew that face. It was in his family archives, a long-forgotten photo of Dr. Samuel Gray, an Earth scientist who vanished over 100 years ago during a deep space mission. Ethan stared at it in silence. It's him, he whispered. He was real. The air shifted behind him. I see you found it. Ethan turned. Serafina stood at the doorway, wearing a soft white robe that shimmered faintly in the light. Her hair flowed like silver fire down her shoulders, but her expression was unreadable, a mix of sorrow and calm. Ethan held up the pendant. This man. He was my ancestor, wasn't he? Serafina walked closer, her golden eyes glowing faintly. Yes. His name was Samuel. He came to us as a friend. I believed in him. Her voice broke slightly. I loved him. Ethan's grip on the pendant tightened. And he betrayed you. She turned away, her back to him. He said he wanted to save me, to save Valoria. But when he discovered the core of essence, his human hunger took over. He thought he could control it, use it to make himself immortal. But the core was alive. It was sacred. It could not be owned. Her eyes shimmered with tears. When it broke, the light of Valoria began to die. Ethan looked at the pendant again. And you kept this? Yes, she said softly. Because even after everything, I could not forget him. Her words were quiet, fragile, but honest. Ethan could hear the pain in her tone, centuries of guilt and longing hidden behind her royal calm. He placed the pendant gently on the table. You want to fix what he destroyed? Serafina nodded. It is my duty, but it is also my heart's wish. I believe your bloodline carries a connection to the core, the same energy that once answered to Samuel. If you touch it, maybe it will awaken again. Ethan frowned. You mean the heart of Valoria? Yes, she whispered. But it is hidden now, buried deep beneath the ruins of the Forbidden Moon. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Why haven't you gone there? Her expression darkened. Because no Valorian who enters that place ever returns. It rejects our kind. But you, human, it might accept you. Ethan felt the weight of her words. So you're asking me to go there, to find this core, to save your people? Serafina stepped closer, her voice trembling slightly. Not asking. Begging. He looked at her. For a moment, neither spoke. The light from the pendant glowed between them, reflecting in their eyes, one human, one alien, two souls connected by a past neither chose. Finally, Ethan nodded slowly. If I go, I'll need help. A ship. Supplies. You will have everything, she said. But Ethan. She hesitated, her golden eyes softening. If you touch the core, it will test you. It will look into your heart. If there is darkness there, it will consume you. Ethan gave a small, dry smile. Good thing I don't have much heart left. Serafina looked at him sadly. You say that, but I see the truth. You carry pain, not emptiness. She turned toward the window. The distant stars reflected in her eyes. We leave at dawn. Ethan glanced once more at the pendant before following her out of the room. He couldn't stop thinking about the man in the photograph, Samuel Gray. His ancestor. The human who had destroyed a world and broken a queen's heart. Now, the universe had given him a chance to fix it, or to fail again. As they walked through the quiet halls, the lights flickered weakly, the palace trembling slightly. Somewhere deep below, the dying core of Valoria pulsed once, faintly, as if it had felt their decision. Serafina stopped at the end of the corridor and turned to him. Tomorrow, she said softly, our journey begins. To the moon where hope and betrayal sleep. Ethan nodded. And what happens if we find the core? Her golden eyes glowed brighter, and her voice dropped to a whisper. Then the world will see whether humanity can still love, or destroy, again. The camera would fade here, the pendant glowing softly on the table, its old photograph flickering in the golden light, as distant thunder rolled through the alien sky. The ship sliced through the endless dark of space like a silent arrow. Its silver hull shimmered under the faint glow of twin stars. Ethan stood near the window, staring at the dark moon ahead, the forbidden moon of Valoria. Serafina stood beside him, her face calm but her eyes heavy with memory. That place, she said softly, was once our sacred temple. Now it's a graveyard. Ethan could see strange lights flickering across the surface of the moon, ruins scattered across a frozen wasteland. His stomach tightened. And that's where the core is. She nodded slowly. Buried beneath the ruins of the first temple. It hasn't been touched since the day it shattered. Ethan turned toward her. If it's so dangerous, why didn't you send soldiers? Her voice was quiet. Because they never return. The silence between them was thick. The ship's engines hummed softly as they began descent. They landed in a valley of broken crystal towers. The air was cold, filled with silver dust that glowed faintly in the light of the ship. Ethan stepped down first, his boots crunching against the frozen ground. Every sound echoed strangely, like the place was alive and listening. Serafina followed, her gown flowing behind her like light smoke. She carried a small energy torch that illuminated the path ahead. As they walked deeper into the ruins, Ethan noticed symbols carved into the walls, swirling patterns similar to those on Serafina's skin. What do these mean? He asked. They are the vows of creation, she replied. Words we once believed could never be broken. Her voice trembled slightly, and Ethan could sense her pain. The place wasn't just ancient to her, it was personal. They entered a large chamber. In the center stood a cracked stone pedestal. Faint light pulsed beneath it, slow and weak, like a dying heartbeat. Serafina stopped. It's here, she whispered. The core rests below. Ethan moved closer. The air around the pedestal seemed to vibrate, pulling at him. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, like something inside him recognized the energy. Serafina watched carefully. Do you feel it? Ethan nodded. It's like, it's calling me. That is the bond, she said softly. The same connection your ancestor felt. But do not lose yourself to it. The core sees into your heart. If it finds fear or greed. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Ethan placed his hand on the pedestal. Instantly, light flared around him. His mind filled with voices, whispers of the past, echoing in a language he didn't understand. He saw flashes, images of cities burning, people screaming, a man who looked just like him holding the glowing core in his hands. Then pain, a deep, burning pain that seared through his veins. Ethan! Serafina shouted. She rushed forward, placing her hands on his chest. Her energy flowed into him like golden fire, balancing the violent pulse of the core. The light dimmed slowly. Ethan gasped, falling to his knees. I saw him. Samuel. He tried to control it. Serafina knelt beside him, her voice gentle. The core doesn't obey control. It obeys connection. Ethan's breathing steadied. He looked up at her, sweat glistening on his forehead. It showed me his failure. But I think it's still alive, waiting for something. She nodded. Waiting for the bond to be healed. Before either of them could speak again, a sharp sound echoed through the ruins, the sound of boots against stone. Seraphina turned quickly, her eyes narrowing. From the shadows, a group of armored Valorians stepped forward, weapons raised. At their front was Advisor Thalan. "Your Majesty," he said coldly, "I warned you. The core is forbidden. Yet you bring another human here to destroy us again." Seraphina's voice turned fierce. "Stand down, Thalan. This is not your decision. You lost that right when you doomed us centuries ago," he snarled. "Now you repeat the same mistake." He raised his weapon. A surge of blue energy shot toward her. Ethan moved without thinking, diving forward, pulling Seraphina aside. The blast hit the pedestal instead, sending cracks racing across its surface. A low hum filled the air, deep, growing louder by the second. The core was awakening. Thalan's eyes widened. "What have you done?" Light exploded from the cracks, swirling like a living storm. The entire chamber began to shake. Ethan grabbed Seraphina's hand. "We have to go, now." She didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the glowing energy rising from the ground, golden and blue, twisting like two souls trapped in battle. "The core," she whispered. "It's reacting to you." Ethan could feel it too, a pulse in his chest matching the rhythm of the core's light. The energy didn't feel hostile anymore. It felt alive. He took a step forward. "Maybe it's trying to communicate." "Ethan, no." Seraphina shouted, but it was too late. He reached out, touching the swirling energy. In an instant, the light enveloped them both. The room disappeared. Ethan saw flashes again, but this time not of destruction. He saw Seraphina's memories, her world before it died, her laughter, her love, and her heartbreak. And then, something strange, the core showing him two paths, one of unity, one of chaos. A voice echoed inside his mind. "Human heart. Alien soul. Choose what you will save." Ethan's eyes opened wide, the golden light reflecting in them. "Seraphina," he whispered, "the core is alive, and it remembers you." The energy around them calmed slightly, and for a moment, the ruins felt still again. But Thalan's army was already retreating, terrified by what they had witnessed. Seraphina turned to Ethan, trembling. "What did it say to you?" He met her eyes. "It said the bond can be restored, but it requires something it calls the heart's promise." Seraphina's face went pale. "That is the ancient vow of union. A bond of life and death." Ethan swallowed hard. "Meaning?" Her voice was quiet but steady. "If we take that vow, one cannot live without the other." The light of the core pulsed once more, like a heartbeat, as the screen faded to black. The core's light slowly faded until only faint glimmers danced across the cracked stones. The silence that followed was heavy, almost sacred. Ethan could still feel the strange pulse inside him, soft, steady, and alive. It wasn't just energy. It felt like something breathing within him. Seraphina stood close, her golden eyes still glowing faintly from the contact. "You touched the core," she whispered. "And it didn't destroy you." Ethan looked around, dazed but steady. Maybe it saw something different this time. She studied him with quiet wonder. "The core only answers to truth. It must have seen something pure inside you." Ethan gave a small, tired smile. "If it did, it's mistaken. I'm not exactly pure." But Seraphina shook her head gently. "You are more than you think, Ethan Gray. Your blood carries the pain of the one who failed me, yet your heart carries something he never had, mercy." Ethan didn't reply. He looked down at his hands, watching faint golden lines shimmer beneath his skin, traces of the core's energy. It was inside him now. They left the chamber, moving back through the silent ruins. The storm of energy had calmed, but the moon still trembled slightly. Far behind them, the pedestal continued to glow softly, as if waiting for their return. When they reached the ship, the horizon was beginning to fade under a dim violet dawn. Seraphina stood at the entrance ramp, her robe fluttering in the cold wind. Ethan paused beside her. "Thalan won't stop," he said. He thinks I'm the threat. She nodded, her face hardening. He believes he protects our people. But fear blinds him. Once, it blinded me too. Ethan studied her quietly. You still love your people, even after everything. I must, she said softly. They are my purpose. But lately, she hesitated. Lately, I have found another reason to fight. Their eyes met for a moment. No words were needed. Inside the ship, Ethan sat in the control room, staring at the star map. The core's energy within him seemed to hum in rhythm with the engines. It was as if it could sense direction, guiding him. Seraphina entered silently, carrying a small crystal tablet. The core's pulse is spreading again, she said. The readings show energy reaching even the far side of the system. Ethan frowned. That's good, right? Not yet, she replied. If the core's energy rises too quickly, it could destroy what's left of Valoria. He turned to her sharply. So we awakened something we can't control. Not we, she corrected gently. You awakened it. And now, you are the only one who can calm it. Ethan exhaled, rubbing his face. I don't even understand what it wants. Seraphina looked at him for a long moment, then touched the center of her chest. It wants connection. It was built to bond life, to unite hearts. That is its power. He stared at her. Are you saying it needs emotion? She nodded slowly. Love, trust, devotion, they are not weaknesses, Ethan. They are energy. The core feeds on what unites, not what divides. Her words hung in the air. Ethan looked away. That's not exactly something I'm good at. Seraphina smiled faintly, sadness in her eyes. Then learn. Or we all will fade. Hours passed. The ship drifted silently above the dying planet, its engines low and steady. Ethan couldn't rest. He kept thinking about what the core had shown him, the vision of two paths, one of chaos, one of unity. And the voice that had whispered, choose what you will save. He didn't fully understand it. But every time he looked at Seraphina, something inside him stirred, something that told him the core was right. Later that night, he found her standing at the observation deck. The stars reflected across her golden skin like tiny flames. Seraphina, he said quietly, what exactly is the heart's promise? She didn't turn to face him. Her voice was soft, almost trembling. It is the oldest vow of my kind. A link between souls so deep that one cannot breathe if the other stops. It is how the first Valorians and the first humans once shared their world. Ethan frowned. You mean, a bond stronger than life? Yes, she whispered. It is both love and death bound together. When one heart breaks, the other ends. He stepped closer. And the core asked for that. It demands it, she said, finally turning toward him. Because only that level of trust can heal it. It must feel what was once lost. Ethan's throat felt dry. You're saying if we make that vow, our lives will be linked. Seraphina nodded. Forever. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with meaning neither wanted to face. Ethan looked down, thinking of the mission, the danger, and everything he'd already lost in his life. I don't know if I can do that, he said quietly. I've already buried too much. Seraphina stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. Ethan Gray, you were chosen by the core not because of your strength, but because of your pain. It saw in you what even you refused to see, the power to heal. He looked up at her, meeting her golden gaze. For the first time, he saw her not as a queen or an alien, but as someone just as broken, just as afraid. Her hand brushed lightly against his chest, where the core's light faintly glowed beneath his skin. You are its last hope, she whispered. And mine. Ethan swallowed hard, his heart pounding. And if I say yes? Her eyes shimmered like starlight. Then the core will awaken fully. Our worlds may live again. But if either of us betrays the vow, even once, both hearts will die. Ethan took a deep breath, staring into her eyes. So the question is, do we trust each other enough to risk everything? Seraphina's voice was barely a whisper. That is what love has always been. The camera would linger here, Two silhouettes standing under the soft light of distant stars, their reflections shimmering in the glass, as the faint heartbeat of the core echoed quietly in the background. The next morning, the stars above Valoria burned like silent witnesses. The ship floated quietly in orbit, bathed in golden light from the twin suns. Inside, the tension between Ethan and Serafina was heavy, a feeling of calm before something that could change everything. Ethan stood near the window, looking down at the dying world below. Its oceans shimmered weakly, its skies cracked with fading light. "If we fail," he murmured, "this planet dies for good." Serafina approached slowly, her steps silent. She wore a white ceremonial gown, covered in silver threads that glowed faintly. In her hands, she carried a crystal sphere filled with swirling golden mist. "It is time," she said softly. "The core is ready to accept the heart's promise." Ethan turned toward her, unease in his eyes. "Tell me again, once we do this, there's no turning back." She nodded. "Once the vow is made, the core will link our life energy. Our fates will be one. If I fall, you fall. If you suffer, I suffer." He stared at her for a moment, then gave a half smile. "Sounds like the worst marriage contract in history." Serafina almost smiled, but her eyes were sad. "It is not about love as humans define it. It is about trust. About giving your heart without fear." He exhaled slowly. "Yeah. That's harder than you think." They descended back to the moon's surface. The ruins were silent this time, almost peaceful. The pedestal that once glowed with wild energy now pulsed slowly, waiting. The core's light shimmered like a sleeping star beneath the cracks. Ethan and Serafina stood at the center of the chamber. The golden mist from the sphere began to rise, surrounding them both in a warm halo. Serafina spoke first, her voice low and melodic. "Ethan Gray, of Earth, do you accept the bond of the heart's promise, to share one life, one breath, and one soul?" Ethan hesitated. His heart pounded in his chest. The voice inside his mind whispered, "If you do this, there's no return." But another voice, quieter, deeper, whispered, "Maybe this is what you were meant to do." He lifted his gaze to hers. "I accept." Serafina closed her eyes, holding out her hands. Golden light bloomed between them. "Then repeat after me, my heart is no longer mine alone." Ethan took a deep breath and repeated, "My heart is no longer mine alone. My breath belongs to the bond between us. My breath belongs to the bond between us. And my life is the bridge between two worlds." Ethan's voice was steady. "And my life is the bridge between two worlds." The core responded instantly. The ground trembled. Streams of light erupted from the cracks, swirling around them in a spiral of gold and blue. The chamber filled with sound, like thousands of distant voices singing in harmony. Ethan felt heat surge through his chest, his vision flashing with blinding light. For a moment, he saw her memories again, her laughter as a child, her pain when her people turned on her, her loneliness across centuries. Then he saw something new, her standing beside him, smiling under the same stars. When the light faded, they were still standing, but something inside both of them had changed. Ethan could feel her heartbeat inside his own. It wasn't just energy, it was her. Serafina opened her eyes slowly. Her voice trembled. "It is done." The core pulsed once more, brighter than before, sending a shockwave across the moon. Above them, the skies of Valoria began to shift, from dull gray to faint silver. Rivers of light spread through the clouds. The planet was breathing again. Ethan looked up in awe. "It's working." Serafina nodded, tears glimmering in her eyes. "The core lives. The bond is healing." He smiled faintly. "Then maybe we just saved your world." But before she could answer, the ground shook violently. The chamber lights flickered, and the hum of the core turned sharp, angry. Serafina's expression changed. "No, something's wrong." The glow around the pedestal turned dark red. Energy sparks flew across the walls. Ethan stumbled back as pain shot through his chest, the bond flaring like fire. "Serafina," he gasped. She fell to her knees, clutching her chest too. "The core is resisting. It feels conflict inside you." Ethan gritted his teeth, trying to fight the pain. "Conflict? What conflict?" Serafina's eyes glowed fiercely. Your heart, it carries guilt. The blood of your ancestor, the memory of betrayal, the core can feel it. Ethan fell to his knees beside her, his breath ragged. The core's voice echoed inside his mind, distant and booming. Two hearts cannot unite with a shadow between them. He saw flashes again, Samuel Gray standing before the core, filled with ambition, pride, and fear. And then Serafina, centuries ago, reaching out to stop him. Ethan shouted into the void, I'm not him. I'm not like him. The light flared brighter, almost blinding. Serafina reached out, grabbing his face between her hands. Then prove it. Let go of his guilt. Let it die here. He looked into her eyes, trembling. I don't know how. Trust me, she whispered. Trust us. Ethan closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He focused on her warmth, her voice, the bond between them. He let go of the anger, the shame, the weight of his past. Slowly, the light began to change, from red to gold. The pain eased. The hum softened. The core calmed. Serafina smiled faintly through her tears. You did it. Ethan exhaled heavily, his heart still pounding. No, he said softly. We did. The core pulsed once more, strong, steady, alive. The entire chamber glowed in gold and blue harmony. Outside, Valoria's skies lit up fully, as the once dead forests began to shimmer with life again. Serafina placed a trembling hand on his cheek. Ethan Gray, the vow is sealed. Our hearts beat as one. He looked into her glowing eyes, the faint hum of the core vibrating between them. Then I guess there's no going back now. Serafina smiled gently. Nor would I want to. The camera would fade out here, showing the two of them standing hand in hand, surrounded by golden light, as Valoria's rebirth spreads across the stars. But beneath the light, far in the distance, a shadow flickered, unseen, patient, waiting. Something had awakened with the core, something that wasn't supposed to.